It's the end of 1941. During this time, the air battles between the Allies and the Luftwaffe got super intense. Controlling the skies wasn't just a military goal anymore, it was about survival for both sides. Every day the skies over France, Belgium, and England turned into fierce battlegrounds. The Supermarine Spitfire Mark V was the main fighter for the Royal Air Force. Its ability to turn quickly and its speed made it a symbol of British strength in the air. But even with its successes, it was clear by the end of 1941 that the old legends were starting to lose to newer, more modern rivals. In 1941, a new German fighter appeared over the French coast, the Focke-Wulf FW-190. Its arrival was a real shock for the Allies. Right away in its first battles, the FW-190 showed it was a tough opponent, able to set the rules for air combat. The Focke-Wulf FW-190 was better than the Spitfire Mark V in most ways, especially at low and medium heights. Because of this, it quickly earned a reputation as one of the most effective fighters of World War II, and something had to be done about this fast. The Hawker Typhoon started being built in 1937. This was when Great Britain already felt like war was coming. The main job of this new plane was to catch and destroy fast enemy bombers. These bombers were becoming more and more dangerous to British cities and military places, but the biggest problem was still the engine. To get the plane to fly as needed, they needed a brand new engine. It had to be super powerful, more powerful than any engine British fighter planes had ever used before. So they picked two promising engines, the Napier Sabre and the Rolls-Royce Vulture. Both engines were really complicated and needed a lot of work to get them right. This made the process of building the new plane take a lot longer. The Air Ministry gave the job of making this new plane to Sidney Cam. Sidney was a top British airplane designer and led the design team at Hawker. The Typhoon project was the hardest and most important one he ever worked on. They decided to put a Sabre engine in the plane. It was a 24-cylinder H-shaped engine with sleeve valves. It was one of the most powerful and complex engines of its time. At the same time, they were also working on the Tornado plane, which meant fewer resources and more problems with getting things done. The first Hawker Typhoon prototype took its first flight in February 1940. This was a moment everyone had been waiting for, but tests quickly showed many problems that put the whole project at risk. The Napier Sabre engine turned out to be very unreliable. It not only caused strong shaking, but it also often broke down during tests or caught fire when starting. On May 9, 1940, the prototype had a serious structural accident in flight. This was a worrying sign for the whole team. Test pilot Philip Lucas showed amazing skill and calmness, managing to land the damaged plane, and because of what he did, the project got a second chance. A careful investigation showed problems with both how the plane moved through the air and how it was built. They paid special attention to the plane's thick wing, which caused issues with air compression when diving. This greatly limited the Typhoon's fighting ability at high speeds. The Hawker Typhoon Mark 1B was designed to be a high-performance, low-altitude fighter. This new plane was meant to replace the older Hawker Hurricane. It was built not just to fight enemy planes but also to help ground troops directly. This became super important during the battles in Europe. The Typhoon's top speed was about 412 miles per hour at 19,000 feet. This made it one of the fastest planes in the Royal Air Force at low and medium heights. Because it was so fast and could speed up quickly, the Typhoon could catch not only enemy fighters but also fast bombers like the German FW-190 and Ju-88. At high altitudes, the Typhoon wasn't as good as some other planes of its time, but at low altitudes it was almost unbeatable. The Typhoon's wingspan was 12.67 meters, and its length was 9.73 meters. Because of its big size, the plane could carry more heavy weapons than most other single-seat fighters back then. The wing was specially made thick and strong to hold not only the weight of the weapons, but also to handle a lot of air pressure when diving and making sharp turns at high speed. The Typhoon's body was built to take a lot of damage in battle and also to keep the pilot safe during crash landings. The thick, strong wing of the Typhoon gave a steady place for weapons and allowed it to carry heavy cannons, bombs, and rockets. This design helped it handle well at high speeds and during attack missions. The pilot's cockpit was placed high up, giving a great view forward and to the sides. It was also armored to protect the pilot from ground fire and enemy planes. Inside the cockpit, there were modern instruments for that time, including a radio and aiming sights, which made it easier to do tough missions. One special thing about the Typhoon was its large radiator on the bottom. This was needed to keep the powerful Sabre engine cool, especially when flying low and fast. The radiator was a weak spot, but it was built to take hits from small pieces and still keep the engine working. The Typhoon's usual weapons included 4 20mm Hispano Mk2 cannons, placed in the wings. This gave it a lot of firepower against planes in the air and targets on the ground. Pilots said these cannons were very reliable and good at attacking armored vehicles and enemy convoys. Later versions of the Typhoon could carry bombs under its wings, usually 2 500-pound or 1,000-pound bombs. This allowed it to act as a fighter bomber, hitting enemy positions, roads and equipment. During the Normandy operation, the Typhoon became one of the main ways Allied troops on the ground got help. The plane could also be fitted with up to 8 RP-3 rockets, which were 60 pounds each. These were really good against tanks and armored vehicles. These rockets became a real nightmare for German convoys, and the Typhoon earned the nickname Tank Buster among Allied troops. The Hawker Typhoon entered service in late 1941 as a quick answer to the fearsome Focke-Wulf FW 190. This German plane suddenly outmatched British fighters in speed and agility. The first combat results were not good. The Typhoon often struggled in air battles and its losses grew. Engine failures happened often. The Napier Sabre engine turned out to be very complex and tricky to maintain. There were also design flaws found which led to the fleet being temporarily grounded. Damage to the tail and issues with the cockpit seal were especially dangerous. In the first 9 months, more pilots died in accidents than in combat, but later a technical fix was found. The tail was strengthened. Cockpit ventilation was improved and the engine was refined. The Typhoon showed high speed at low altitudes compared to enemy planes, and this became its main advantage. This allowed it to be used for intercepting low-flying raids. The Typhoon became essential in fighting German raiders. The Hawker Typhoon and the Focke-Wulf FW 190 were made for different jobs. The FW 190 was built just for air battles. It was lighter than the Typhoon, could move around better, and could roll really fast. The Typhoon was heavier and was first meant to stop enemy planes, but later it was changed to attack things on the ground. Below 5,000 feet, the Typhoon was one of the fastest planes around. Its speed and strong engine let it make quick attacks, so in the end, the Typhoon was mostly used to hit targets on the ground. The FW-190 pilots really liked it because it was dependable and good in a fight. The German plane was easy to take care of and could get back into the fight quickly after repairs. The Typhoon, on the other hand, needed more careful looking after, but its powerful weapons made up for that. In battle, the Typhoon could do a lot of damage to ground targets, which made it super important for ground attack missions. The FW-190, in turn, was the best in air battles because it could move so well and had strong firepower. These two planes became symbols for their countries and left a big mark on the history of World War II. The Hawker Typhoon played a significant role in the Normandy campaign. This aircraft became a symbol of Allied air support. By June 1944, the Typhoon was widely used for close air support. 20 squadrons equipped with rockets supported Allied ground forces during the invasion. The main goal was to hit German armored vehicles and supply convoys. The Typhoon made a significant contribution to air support in the Battle of Normandy. Its attacks allowed the Allies to advance faster. German tanks were vulnerable to the Typhoon's 60-pound rockets. Even well-protected vehicles couldn't withstand direct hits. The Typhoon was also actively used in the Battle of the Falaise Pocket. This is where its effectiveness was especially clear. It's estimated that hundreds of vehicles were knocked out in a matter of days. The Hawker Typhoon became an important tactical weapon in World War II. Its successes were noted in many reports from Allied command and played a huge role in the Allied victory. And in our next episodes we'll tell you more about the legendary aircraft, tanks, ships and monster weapons that were used in World War II. So subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified about our new series. Support this video with a like and write in the comments what legendary equipment you'd like to see analyzed on our channel. And see you soon in our new episodes, friends. Bye.